When you are ready, just let me know. Okay. Hi everyone. I would like to show you one of the good things that I have made, which is the universal fluid power controller. This universal fluid power controller is kind of a why just saying universal, because it is open architecture, which we're going to allow you to drive 3 axes simultaneously, and you can write number of analog and digital signals. So let me start with the 3 axes. Each one of them is like what you see here. You have like 1, 2, 3 plugs here assigned for channels 0, 1, 2. And when we open this, you're gonna see 7-pin plug. So this we're gonna go to drive a continuous valve, which could be proportional valve or servo valve with onboard electronics. I'm going to show you an example of this. This is one of these valves, like what you see here is also a valve that have 7-pin cable, so no too much wiring is required. All what you need is just to run a cable from this plug to this plug and put this in your hydraulic system. You should be able to drive this valve. So again, why 7-pin? Because we have 2 pins assigned to power the valve, and other 2 pins are assigned to give the signal to the valve, and other 2 pins assigned to tell us how is the valve respond, what is the responsive valve, or what is the spool position. And the 7th pin is a shielding pin, and those pins are color coded, and like the distribution of these pins are standardized, so you can just change the valve from brand A to brand B without any hassle, so in wiring and all of that. So then with these 3 axes, you can, let's say for example, you can control position of a cylinder, you can control speed of a motor, and you can also work to control other third parameter. The other plugs that you see here is a little bit smaller because they are 4-pin type of plugs, and those are analog input channels that can read from sensors. So let's say you have a pressure sensor, temperature sensor, flow sensor that gives you analog indication about each one of these parameters. That sensor itself required to be powered. So you have here 2 pins for the power and 2 other pins for the input signal. So you don't need to do any wiring for the sensor other than just run the cable from the sensor to here. And also even the sensor will be powered from the internal power supply. So you don't need to search for how is the sensor will be powered. So it's plug and play kind of thing. So we have 5 of them, which are going to give you to get a very good chance to monitor the condition of the system. So just underneath of this, if you would like to measure that same parameters with a BNC cable, you can just run a BNC cable to your oscilloscope or to your any other HMI or to any other monitoring device. So you can monitor through the controller itself or through the other external device. So this first row up there represents the analog inputs. What about the analog outputs? What about if you would like to send an analog signal to drive an external controller, external valve, external anything? So I assigned here those 5 channels for the analog output, and each one of them can be configured to be 0 to 10, minus 10 to 10 valve, or minus volt, or minus 5 to plus 5. So they are configurable. Now we're done with the analog input and analog output. The following 2 rows here are to deal with digital signal or switching signal, which is like a binary signal, on, off, true, false, things like this. So if you have like switch, when we say switch, this means that this signal that we were going to receive is like a binary signal. So you may have a pressure switch or a flow switch or any other like limit switch to know that the cylinder arrived to that position, or any proximity switch, any type of switch can be, hooked here. And underneath of each one, there is like a LED here to tell us whether the signal is on or off. And this is good for debugging the system. If something happened, we should be able to know from the LED whether the signal is there or not. So that is to receive input signals if you would like to drive an on-off device, similar to the solenoid operated on-off valves. So you need a signal on-off. So those are four other channels, digital output to send the digital output signal to drive an on-off device. So that completes the interface here, and we have a LED to indicate whether this is powered or not. We have a power supply. I'm going to show you this very soon. Then the question here is how to communicate with this. You have this kind of interface box also when you have your laptop, and when you launch the software that is assigned to communicate with the controller, you can do this through an Ethernet cable, or through a USB, or through another port here in the middle, like so I give 3 different ways to get into the controller, to talk the controller inside. And that whole thing required to be powered also, and you can power it through the AC power here, and this AC power is even universal power, can be like 120 or 220 volt, so it's plug and play kind of thing. You don't need to, that we're going to save lots of energy to power a legacy type of controller to the system. When we get inside the box, let's see what's inside. You're going to see that how this is very well engineered, and all these channels are already hardwired and get to the controller. And you have seen here that you have a 6 amp built-in power supplier. You don't need to get any power from anywhere other than just power this to the plug. And the miracle here is that controller, which is very small, as you see, and it is hardwired by this type of wires to communicate with all of this. So that can be used for real control solutions. That can be used also for a research work if you want. And the controller itself has its own software from the mother company who developed this controller. But in addition to that, I did develop another software using Visual Basic to communicate with the controller that gives better user interface and can be customized, and we can add features to this like function generators and all of that. So I hope that something interesting and useful for everybody. And if you want to have more information, you can just contact me. Thank you.